everyone, welcome to another ISMONO podcast. In this episode will be a little bit shorter and I'm just alone talking to you to this camera, or when you are sitting in the car listening to my voice. It's just me today, and I wanted to talk about something that is maybe already in the title, meaning or being I'm biased, and how reviewers are all somewhat biased. So to explain this a little bit, I watched the When Show, which is from the reviewer or from the YouTuber Linus Tech Tips. And Linus Tech Tips, just like MKBHD, are some of my favorite YouTubers, although I'm not that interested in what they're doing. For me, Linus is a very entertaining tech channel, but also a really cool podcast. Although I am not that interested in PC hardware, building desktop PCs, and all of that stuff doesn't really interest me. Nevertheless, I like watching his content because I find him entertaining, but also I really like the philosophy about his reviews, his contents, and his ethics. And I kind of got inspired by a couple of those. For example, he always says, as soon as money exchanges hands, that cannot be a review. And I totally agree. And that is something that I really respect with his content. And in this podcast episode of the When Show, where he talked about his experience with MacBooks or Apple devices. And he does it in a way where that's one of the points where I don't really like what he's doing. And I'm not fronting him. I'm just kind of want to explain where I'm coming from and what I want to talk about. Because he explained how his MacBook experience and his iPhone experience didn't really work out for him. And he was the way he explained it, it was, hence the title of this video, it was very biased. Not biased in a way that he dislikes Apple, but biased in a way that I was really reading between the lines that he was somewhat saying, that's just not the way I do it. And that really hit a nerve with me where I'm like, we all do stuff differently. We all have different needs. We all have different workflows. We all have different expectations. And I totally understand his criticism about the MacBook and the Apple devices. And I totally understand that he is not biased. He's just saying everything is somewhat, to some degree, crap. And he was really about how terrible his experience was. But in the argument and in the comments, you were kind of saying, oh, you're doing this wrong. And then another person is like, no, he's doing this. And Linus is like, yeah, but that's how I do it. And I think that is stupid. And I believe that holds true with so many things, especially in this. And now I'm looping to my position, the bag scene, the bag enthusiast space. It is so interesting that bags is the best example of how different we are. We are all differently built. That's why a backpack might not be comfortable for you. We all have different needs, what a backpack needs to achieve. For example, if you live in a country where there is a lot of rain, you want the bag to be as water resistant as possible. Or for example, in my last review of the CB22 from Evergoods, so many people want water bottle pocket outside. I don't need it necessarily. So I have different needs and different expectations of what a product needs to have for me personally. And that's why I'm saying I'm biased. I'm not biased in terms of brand affiliation or brand loyalty. I'm not biased towards a brand. I'm a reviewer. I try to be as objective as possible. Nevertheless, I'm biased in the way I use things, in the way I want things to work. I'm a fairly short person. I like to have side handles, for example. If I use a top handle and walk up a stairs, sometimes the bottom of the bag bumps against the stairs if I'm walking up. Due to my build, some bags are very uncomfortable, while maybe for you they are just as comfortable like a pillow or whatever. So that's why I'm saying I'm biased in a way of what I need, in a way of what I'm expecting. And that the conversation with Linus really made this clear for me again, that just because it doesn't work for you, and I think that is something that I was criticizing in this whole conversation that he had in this whole review. I totally understand his points, but he was so on his standpoint, standing on the standpoint that it is stupid, that some of the things that Apple is doing and how they work is just stupid. But in my mind, it's just not the way that you are used to. It's just a different method. Maybe objectively speaking, there are some points that are not perfect, but they do work for some people. And I feel that it is very difficult when you as a person say, this is the right way, this is how I did it all of the time, that is why it is correct. And I feel that is a very difficult position to be in, and I don't think that is the right position, because there's so many different approaches to one problem or to a product. And just because you are doing it differently, because your needs are differently, doesn't mean that that is the wrong way. And yeah, I feel that is difficult. And sometimes I see that also with some people that are commenting on, especially iPhone versus Android, saying, oh, you're so stupid because you use this, or you're so stupid because you do that. It's nothing is wrong. If it works for you, it is okay. And it's not, from my perspective, it's not a good position to say, oh, you're doing it wrong because my way is the better way. And yeah, I think that is a very, I'm struggling to find the correct word, but I believe you need to be open to many approaches. Nevertheless, as a reviewer, you cannot be completely unbiased because, as I said, you have your own needs, expectations, and approaches. So, what's the bottom line then for you as a viewer? For me, a reviewer of products is the same as a food critic, the same as a movie reviewer. We all have different tastes, right? So just because one movie reviewer is thinking that movie is total crap, maybe you still enjoy it. Or if someone is saying that dish is so delicious, maybe for you it's totally disgusting. And what you as a viewer, or what I would suggest you as a viewer, is watch many reviews, many videos of one reviewer to kind of calibrate yourself, align yourself to the taste or to the needs of that specific reviewer. For example, if you watch my videos, you maybe noticed my height, and then you say, oh, Bo has the same height like I have, so maybe this bag fits me better. Or you know that I'm always carrying a lot of tech gear, then you probably know, oh, I'm carrying a lot of tech gear as well. On the flip side, if you are someone who's hiking a lot, probably my videos aren't for you. So that's what I mean by calibrating yourself to the reviewer. Once you see a lot of videos or reviews of a specific person, you kind of know, okay, that's his or her specific needs, expectations, and do they align with my personal needs, with my personal taste? If yes, oh, that's maybe the person I should go to if I'm looking for a product review or product recommendations. And don't be too harsh towards, and I'm not necessarily saying that about myself, but Yeah, you can be nice and respectful in the comments, but I'm just wanting to remind you, just because a reviewer might not have the same expectations, the same viewpoints like you do, it doesn't necessarily mean that that person is wrong. And on the flip side, I'm not saying that you're wrong either just because you have different needs. And this goes to the reviewers. And in the example previously, maybe also, I mean, Linus will never watch this video, but if I would be talking to him, I would suggest to him, hey, just because this is the way you do it doesn't mean that someone else might be wrong. And this is, for me personally, this holds true for all of the reviewers. Just because you do it in a specific way doesn't mean a different person is wrong by doing it differently. And that is something that we all should have to keep in mind, that we all have different needs. But more importantly, if there is also a big purchase that you want to make, maybe you want to buy an expensive bags, don't just watch one reviewer. Watch a couple of them. Watch the reviewer that aligns with your needs, your taste the most. Watch that reviewer and check, okay, does that fit me, my needs, and is that a good investment? And before purchasing that product, go to a different reviewer, look what he or she is talking about, maybe some of the parts that that person thinks negatively about that item applies to you as well. So that is something that I can recommend. Be aware that reviewers to some degree will be biased, not necessarily towards the brand, but just for their person, what they want, what they like, what they dislike, and always take a look at more reviewers of a specific product before investing the money in that. Yeah, that was my short segment about reviewers being biased. This is probably a very short podcast. I have a couple of guests lined up. I haven't been able to interview them yet, but in 2 days, I will have a podcast episode with Odie Matthews again. He will be joining this podcast. And what else? I just reviewed the CB22, but I have a couple of new bags from Belroy and from Air that I will check out. I also, if you've seen the CB22 video, I changed a little bit stuff in my workflow, more specifically in the color grading of my videos. I'm testing a new plugin which is called Dehancer, and I will do a review video about that as well, because I was actually seeing that plugin in one of my advertising jobs. Another editor was using that for that job that we edited together, and I was like, wow, that looks amazing. What are you using? It was like Dehancer. So I tried it out, and I'm using it currently for my YouTube videos and also for a commercial job that I'm doing at the moment as well. So that is definitely something that I will do a video review about pretty soon. And yeah, that's basically it. Sorry for the very short podcast. I hope you still enjoyed this small little segment about reviewers. I would love to know from you, what are your thoughts about reviewers in general? Do you feel that you watch a lot of reviews and kind of use that knowledge to make your purchasing decisions? Or, and that is something that has happened to me, and I totally understand if you say I don't watch reviews anymore for the value that they give me, because, and as I said, this is a sentiment that I have with camera reviews, for example, or with phone reviews, that there are a lot of reviewers that don't tell you anything about the negatives. They just give you basically a list of positives and features that you can gather from looking at the product page of the brand's website. And that is why I kind of dislike watching camera reviews, for example. I try to watch them, but then I noticed I know all of this stuff. This is just everything that is mentioned on the product page. That's that's where I'm coming from when I'm watching a review and I'm like, I don't like watching this. So are you the same? Do you still watch reviewers? If you do so, what do you like about reviews, or when does a review give you value? For example, I mean, if you watch this podcast, you know that in all of my reviews, I try to mention as many negatives as possible, just because I don't just want to cover all of the features that you probably know anyways. So yeah, I would love to know your perspective about reviews in general, what you like about them, and yeah, maybe also, do you trust reviewers in general, or do you just watch them just for entertainment value, or to kind of legitimate your purchase decision? I mean, that's something that some people do as well. They buy, for example, a car, and then they watch reviews just to make sure that they made the right decision. Are you, maybe is that something that you also do? Let me know in the comment section below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this very short podcast. And the next episode will be with Odie Matthews. So don't forget to subscribe, and I see you in the next videos. Thank you very much.